Welcome back, everybody. Today, over the next couple of sections, we're going to talk about how to organize your data. If we're going to take our data and we are going to do stuff with it, make conclusions with it, the first thing we need to do is figure out a couple of different ways to organize our data. So this section, we're going to specifically talk about a stem and leaf plot, and we will continue to talk about other ways to organize our data in the next section. All right, so the stem and leaf plot uses part of our data value as the stem. Excuse me. Switch over to, okay. And the last digit of our data value as our leaf. Very often we add a key so the reader is clear as to what digit the leaf is, whether it's the ones digit, the tenths digit, or even the hundreds digit. All right? The benefit to a stem and leaf plot first is that it's pretty easy to organize. The second is, and this is the more important one, it preserves your data values. All right, in the next section, we'll talk about a frequency distribution. And in that case, one of the drawbacks of using that versus a stem and leaf plot is the frequency distribution, your data values aren't preserved. So here they're going to be preserved. All right. So let's jump right in with an example. At an outpatient testing center, the number of cardiograms are listed each day for 20 days. Construct a stem and leaf plot for the data. All right, so we look at this, and the last digit in our data is the ones digit. All right, each one ends at the ones digit. So that is our leaf. All right, I'm just going to push this up a little bit, try to keep the data here. All right, so even though not every digit has a stem, the stem would be the tens digit, right? So in this case, our stem would be 0 because it's just 0, 2. All right, so we write stem, leaf. If you want to put in your key, we can say the leaf unit equals 1.0, which means that our leaf unit is the ones digit. All right, so I'm going to start by loading up my stems. So I got a 0 stem, a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, and 5. And then what I want to do is I want to look for each one of these. Now, I realistically would love them to be in order. Because if they're in order, I can use my stem and leaf plot to get things like the median. Even the mode would be really helpful if things were in order. All right. You can always do it out of order and then recopy the stem and leaf plot. And once you have things organized in your columns, put it in order. In this case, I'm going to try to be real careful, and I'm going to use my crossouts. I'm going to change my highlighter to a green highlighter. Let's see if I can erase this and be careful. I can. All right, so the first is right here, 0, 2. So I'm going to put a 2 right here. And then for my 1 stem, I have 13, I have 14. All right, so I'm going to put a 3 and a 4. So my stem is the tens place. So it's 13 and 14. All right. Now I like using crossouts because then I won't reuse my data. So here I've got 20, I've got 25, and there should be a 23 right there. So I've got 0, 3, 5. The 30s are going to be a lot. So I've got 31, 32, 36, 32, 33, 32, and 32. So I got a 1. I've got 4 32s, a 33, and a 36. For the 40s, let's see what I got. I got a 43, a 44, a 44, and a 45. So I've got a 43. Ooh, that's not a 3. A 43, a 44, a 44, and a 45. And the last are my 50s. My 50s should be fairly obvious now. I've got a 57, a 51, and a 52. I got 1, 2, and 7. I like putting the commas. I think it helps me to know that I have separate numbers there. Commas aren't necessarily required. You might see even stem and leaf plots in Minitab or even in your book that do not have commas. All right, but I like them just as kind of separators. Now the good thing is, like I said, from here you can look at things like you can get the median. You could even get your average, right? Probably would get the average from the data values, but you can get your average from here. And it's fairly obvious where your mode is. Your mode would be, in this case, would be 32. So you can work with your data right from a stem and leaf plot. And that's one of the benefits of it. All right, so let's take a look at some different data. So I'm just going to write the data here. So I have data could be anything. Very often I'm going to give some context to your data just to reinforce that it is very real world. 235. Oop, that's a terrible 5. 235, 225, 208, and 233. All right, now in this case, like I said, we want our leaf unit to be the last digit there, so it's our 1s. So in this case, our stems are going to change. All right, so our stems are going to be 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So for 19, I've got a 1. I'm going to cross them out here. I got 196 and 199. So that's a 6 and a 9. For the 20 category, I've got a 202, a 205, and a 208. And for the 210s, I got nothing. So I'm going to leave that category blank. Now, I think it's important to put that in so you realize that you didn't forget anything, right? There was no data in there, all right? So let's go on to the 220s. 220, I got 225. Oop. I'll just be consistent, 225. And for the 230s, again, they're fairly obvious now, 231, 233, and 235. I got a 1, a 3, and a 5. All right. So again, stem and leaf plot, we preserve the data. Here we had data in the hundreds, and we had a class of data with nothing in it. Again, I definitely would recommend writing in the class and writing no data there. That way you know you didn't forget. Because in a larger data set, you might say, I don't have any 210s, but after you whittle it down, something might be there. All right. So definitely worth writing down that class. All right. So let's try one more. All right. So let's do a stem and leaf plot for the following data. Now my data is going to change a little bit. 34.9, 32.8, 33.7, 36.6, 34.2, 37.2, 33.2, 37.0, 34.6, 32.9, 33.2, 36.7, and 33.1. All right, what's unique about this is, right, unlike the other one, right, these were whole numbers, right? We started out with just ones and tens digits. That was fine. Here we went into the hundreds digit where we had stems of 19 and 20. We had an empty class. Here we have a tenths digit. Now the way we're going to denote the tenths digit is I'm going to start by making my stem and leaf, right? And I'm going to say the leaf unit equals 0.1. And that's going to tell me that whatever I put in my leaf unit is going to be the tenths digit. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You might see it a variety of different ways. This is the way that Minitab will do it. And a lot of different books will do it. But you'll see it a variety of different ways. All right, so for my 32, I've got 32.8 and 32.9. So I've got 32.8.9. For my 33s, I got a bunch of them. So I've got 0, I've got 1, 2, 2, 7, and there should be one more. 33 point. Oh, did I miss a data point? I did. All right, I'm going to add one in because it was in my thing. 33.4. Yep, no one's perfect. So I got 33 as my stem, and my leaf unit, I've got 0, 1, 2, 2, 4, and 7. All right, and for 34, I've got a 9, a 2, that one was already used, and a 6. So 2, 6, 9. For 35, I'm looking through. I don't see anything, so I'm going to leave that blank. 36. All right, I'm going to do that. That way I can scroll up. 36.6 and 36.7. So I have 6 and 7. And for my last class, I'm going to have 37 as my stem. And there is my 2, and there is my 0. So I have 0 and 2. And then I look back to make sure that all of my data has been taken up. It has. So there is my stem and leaf plot. Now, one of the things in statistics that you'll hear from now and again is something called the 5-number summary. All right. And we're just going to do a quick rundown of the 5-number summary. All right. And we'll talk more about it when we talk about percentiles. All right. But for the 5-number summary, all right, we start with the minimum value. We have the first quartile, which is the 25th percentile. We have the median, which is the 50th percentile. We have Q3, which is the third quartile, 75th percentile, and our max. All right, so for our median, basically we want to find that middle number. So my algebraic formula is n plus 1 divided by 2. A number of values plus 1 divided by 2. You count up that number of values, you get your median. Right? For Q1, I want the median between the minimum value and our middle value. And for Q3, between the middle value and the max. Like I said, we'll do more with this when we talk more heavily about percentiles. But for now, I just want to expose you to the idea that to get a good rundown of statistics, a 5-number summary is quite helpful. All right. Again, this is a quick section. We're only talking about stem and leaf plots and some use for them. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.